reason why we built FAPSCO is to unite the Filipino online professionals industry, to also promote collaboration with each other, and of course, we wanted to help produce skilled online professionals, specialists, and of course, leaders.
We've created POPSCO with a vision to become an organization that supports all Filipino online professionals to be successful in their online careers and businesses, regardless of their affiliations.
I joined FAPSCO because as an online professional who's working at the comfort of my home, I needed other individual can share with me on this freelancing journey.
The reason why we have built the Filipino Online Professional Service Cooperative is to help DICT graduates, aspirant freelancers, and this is also to help them develop, explore, and acquire new skills when it comes to online professional industry.
Ang paglambo o kalampusan sa usa ka organisasyon nagadepende sa kalidad sa mga miyembro o mga lideres niini. Ang FAPSCO dili lang adunay maanindot kayo nga advokasya o misyon na matabangan kitang tanang mga online professionals na magkahiusa, mulambo o mutubo kita sa atong pagpanarbaho o pagnegosyo online.
FAPSCO for me is a digital opportunity for me to develop and share my skills.
I joined FAPSCO as one of the founding members because I knew FAPSCO is going to be backed by other veteran online professionals and freelancers, thereby having experienced, solid, and passionate founding members that we have today.
I joined FAPSCO because the vision of the co-op aligns with my personal vision to provide much-needed support to online professionals.
To promote online freelance.
Well, that's a big yes. And we really are growing together, getting bigger and better. So hello world and hello Pilipinas, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Everyone worldwide is watching with us here with FAPSCO Academy. And by the way, I'm Chami and I'll be your moderator for tonight. So welcome to our webinar series entitled BIR Registration for Self-Employed. To register or not to register. My name is Chris Carvalho. So this training is for FAPSCO members, DICT graduates, and aspiring online freelancers who want to develop, upskill, and explore more about the online freelancing industry. This is in collaboration with FAPSCO Media and FAPSCO. And with me tonight is the ever lovely Miss Pat. Hello, Miss Pat. How are you?
Hello there. Hello, Miss Charmaine, and to our guests, of course. Hello. Kumusta kayo? And to our viewers, of course. Hello. Hello po sa kanilang lahat. How many viewers do we have ba? Actually, my training ground, both YouTube and TikTok. So that's what I do. How about you? What have you been busy with for the past week?
Well, nice to know that you've been learning and developing more about your TikTok skills.
Nakakahiyaman. But you can always have your own training ground, right? You have to have your own training ground. And for me, it just happens to be YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah, that's wonderful. By the way, like last week, I've been busy preparing for some documents at school kasi ito, rakitera ang peg. So I'm also working at school. So I've been busy with the docs, but of course, I've been learning also some skills for freelancing. And yeah, talking about, I remember our speaker for tonight, she's also an advocate. She has an advocacy for animals, right? And talking about animals and stuff, are you a fur mom?
Oh, wow. Yes, I'm a fur mom. I love dogs. I have a dog, actually. His name is Humba. He's the cutest in the world. Isa lang, no? Alam ko, nalaman ko yung about our speaker tonight na
Mhm.
She's like taking care of over 50 cats, and that's really amazing. Kasi ako, I can
Wow.
only care for one, no? So, really, grabe yan. Ang lupet.
Kaya nga, ako isa lang yung cat ko, pero but he's really funny too. But di ko kaya
Yeah.
yung 50 so which is really amazing. And aside from that,
Mm.
aside from being a what do you call this, a fur mom, yeah, later sasabihin ko ano yung background ni Miss Chris, no? And you'll be amazed na hindi lang pala siya fur mom. Okay.
Yes.
And of course, Miss Pep, not the Pep. What do you want to remind our audience for our session tonight?
Yeah, so although we have about 11 viewers right now, so for our 11
Oh.
viewers, I will still say, we can put our phones in silent mode right now. Para lang, para lang we can focus, para hindi mag-interfere sa ating Facebook Live. And of course, we want your active participation. Okay? Magkakaroon po tayo ng Q&A towards the end after this, a little bit of a discussion sa topic natin. We'll have Q&A. And then, if you're watching right now, you can put your questions later and put your location para we can acknowledge you. Titignan namin dyan. We can say hi, hello to you. Ayun lang.
Yes, thank
Miss
you so much,
Charmaine?
Miss Prep. Sure thing. So I guess everything is all set now. So let's keep things going. And let me call on our speaker for tonight. It's Miss Chris Carvalho. Actually, she's a bookkeeper and English as a second language teacher and a virtual assistant from Tarlac. And she graduated from Tarlac State University with a degree in Bachelor of Science in Accountancy, Taray. Sana all. And she is also a completer and a medalist. Hindi lang siya completer, medalist pa siya, no? Of the Social Media Marketing and Advertising course offered by the Digital Jobs PH under the Department of Information and Communications Technology. And also, she has been assisting online professionals manage their BIR duties, specifically tax compliance, self-employed, from registration, settlement of open cases, up to closure of registration. And she either helps them directly or connects them to someone in the industry. So, let's learn more about BIR registration for self-employed. Ano ba yung mga pros and cons of being a BIR registered? So, hello, Miss Chris.
Hello there, Miss Chris. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yes, I do. Thank you for having me again po.
Wow. And we're so glad for you to be here. Para naman malinawan, no, yung mga freelancers and what they need to do if ever they're gonna have their BIR. They will register, no, their freelancing career in BIR. So, Miss Chris, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you. And I'm hoping that we can clear as many questions as possible tonight. I have also prepared a short presentation. Hopefully, it will address a lot of concerns. So again, for tonight, we're going to be discussing BIR registration. As I need some help sharing the screen.
Okay. I
One
guess
moment.
let's have our technical team. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess, yeah, please enable screen sharing.
Yes, I have it.
There
I'm
it
sorry.
is.
Okay, let me present. All right, so here I've prepared a simple presentation for tonight. As you can see, it says BIR registration. We're going to be discussing registration for self-employed and the pros and cons of being BIR registered. So if you would ask who are required to register, anyone who's actually earning any amount of income, we are required to register. We are required to report to BIR how much we are earning and like in what way or how we are earning that. So business registration, actually, it's not just with BIR. We have to remember that the requirements may vary or may differ depending on your location. By the way, Ms. Steph and Ms. Charmaine, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to interrupt me at any time.
Sure
So
thing.
first, thank you. So first, again, requirements vary per RDO. It doesn't mean that it's required from my area. It doesn't mean that it's also required from your area. So it could be different. What I always advise is that you call your RDO. When we say RDO, that means Revenue District Office. That's your local BIR office. So you may call them first to check what they will require from you. This saves you a lot of time. That way, when you go to your RDO, you already have what they need from you. Practicing her profession online or in a freelance way, she might be required to get a PTR. But for the rest of us, it's not really necessary unless, once again, your RDO requires that. Now, DTI, usually DTI is for businesses that are involved in trade. Like if you're really selling something, if you have a physical store. In my case, my RDO did not require me to get DTI permit, Department of Trade and Industry, but in some cases, your RDO may require. It's good to know that DTI can be obtained online also. We can process it online, so you don't really need to go to a DTI office to get one. Um, Securities of Exchange and Commission. I'm not sure if I get that right, but for self-employed or professionals like us, we don't really need to get registered with SEC because this is only for like corporations or partnerships, no, like larger businesses who may want to buy or sell shares of stocks, securities. But if you're practicing online as a professional, it's not really necessary. I'm sorry, my dog is barking. You might be hearing him. Um, LGU, our local government, again, sometimes they may need some additional requirements like a mayor's permit. Sometimes even if you're just online professional, you're not really, a physical store, they may require a permit from your mayor's office. And of course, one of the most important thing, if you're running a business, is to register to BIR. That way, you're not gonna have any fears whatsoever. But we're gonna be discussing more of that. Yeah. So, you have any questions so far?
So far, so these are like the common requirements when we're going to register in BIR. Yeah. So
That is
so far
correct.
for you, Miss Chris, like being a freelancer, like what did the RDO ask you to bring for your registration?
I'm very lucky because my RDO has simplified processes. I have already an existing TIN or tax identification number. So I just had to sign up some forms so I can update and be categorized as a freelancer or self-employed. I was just required to present a couple of valid IDs, and I'm going to be discussing later what are the forms that we need to fill out. Yeah, but I'm one of the lucky ones because my RDO or my local BIR office, they're not very um tedious with the processes, so it's very simplified. Yeah.
Okay.
So moving forward, once again, there could be different necessary registrations that we should have or we should perform or we should do for our businesses. So we're gonna focus on BIR registration. There are three different things here that I'm going to show you. So the BIR forms, the requirements or documents that we need to present when we are going to um, update our records as self-employed. And of course, very importantly, a lot of us are concerned about the fees and charges that we need to pay. So we're going to be discussing that. First would be the forms. Now, it depends if you are already an existing taxpayer. For example, you've been employed in the past, you've worked as an employer, or I'm sorry, as an employee of a company. What you just need to fill out is the BIR form. It's called 1905. So 1905, it has different purposes. For registration purposes, we use it to update our classification as a taxpayer. So from being a local employee, when we fill out 1905, we can be updated to either self-employed or mixed income. When we say self-employed, this is when you're just earning your income from your, how can I say, your services as an ESL teacher, as a VA, as a freelance accountant. So you're considered as self-employed. You will be considered a mixed income if you are still employed in a company, meaning you're earning your compensation from, let's say, a BPO company, and at the same time, let's say you're a call center agent, and when you get home, you teach online. So you have employment or compensation income, and you also have your professional or self-employed income. So that makes you a mixed income earner office. So we don't use that as self-employed taxpayers. 1902, this is just for the employees when they are getting their TIN for the first time, but they will be working for a company. So that's 1902. We do not use that as well. 1901, this is for first time taxpayers, but they would be working as, I mean, they're going to be self-employed, meaning they didn't have TIN in the past, no tax numbers. It's the first time for them to get their TIN. And initially, they will be self-employed, so there's no update. That's the difference between this 1901, 02, 04, and 05. Now, 1906, I'm going to be discussing more of this later. This is part of the process. When we register as self-employed, we are required to get official receipts. And we fill out the form 1906 for us to be able to print our receipts. And another important form, it's 0605. This is our payment form. We use this to pay registration fees, penalties, and other types of fees with BIR. So these are the forms. The most important thing that we should remember would be 1905 if you're changing from one classification to another, and 1901 if it's your first time to get. 1906 for printing receipts, and 0605 for payments. Now, again, it depends on your RDO, but you might ask, what are the requirements when registering as self-employed? Usually, they would just require a couple of valid IDs, preferably government IDs. It's also common for them to ask you some sort of proof that you're earning your income. For example, as an ESL teacher, I got my proof from my ESL company. I asked them for like a contractor's agreement because I'm not employed by them. If you're VA and you're working for a direct client, maybe you can ask your client for some sort of certification that you're working for them. So that's also usually required by the RTOs. And of course, the fees for registration, I'll be discussing later how much would that be. Some documentary stamps they're already available at the BIR office, so no need to buy them from outside. Now, additionally, you may or may not be required to get this, but DTI permit, mayor's permit, professional tax, occupational tax. So those are some of the other requirements that I hear from my clients. But again, commonly just a couple of valid IDs, some proof that you're earning income from your client or from wherever you're earning, and of course, our registration fee. So that's what we need. Now, moving forward with the fees, the main fee that we have to settle would be the registration fee. So that's 500 pesos. It's been 500 pesos ever since, so hopefully they don't increase that. This is something that we have to pay yearly. Let's say you might ask, let's say for example, you registered as self-employed November of 2022. So you might think that I need to renew by November of 2023, but actually that's wrong. Once you have registered, you have to renew every January usually January 31st. Sometimes they may extend that, but January 31st, you have to pay 500 again, regardless if you register like November of this or December of the previous year. So it's very important. There will be penalties if you miss renewing your registration. Now, documentary stamps, they're also available at the BIR office. Usually you may need one or two of them. Books of accounts. So they're not really expensive. It depends on the local store that's selling them. You can buy them from any bookstore, national usually. You need to ask your RDO what kind of books they need from you, how many books they need from you, and then you're gonna buy that from an outside bookstore, and then your RDO will stamp them for you. That's how you make it official. That's how you register your books of accounts. There will be penalties again, and the penalties here are really huge. So books of accounts, it's very important. I'll be discussing more. So in return, we have to issue official receipts to them. That's actually how it works. So a lot of people are asking, ba't kailangan ko ng OR? Ano lang naman ako, wala naman akong business. Kumbaga tao lang na nag-work. Pero you're actually selling your services to them. As an ESL teacher, I sell my teaching services or tutorial services. So when my ESL company sends me my pay or my fees, in return, I need to give them an official receipt for that, like every payday. Now it depends. It's usually 1,500 to 3,000 for a set of booklets. When we say a set, usually that's 10 sets of booklets. And what is good about OR now is that BIR has removed the expiration period. Previously, ORs are only good for 5 years. I think mine was supposed to expire this year, but luckily since BIR abolished the expiration, so you're good to go. They're forever unless you run out of them. When you run out of ORs, you just go back to your BIR office and ask them again for BIR form 1906 authority to print, and they will be printing again. Of course, you have to pay again. Now, sometimes penalties, compromise fees, and surcharges and interest, sometimes they may apply. You may ask me how. Let's say, for example, I've been a freelancer for 10 years. And then I decided suddenly, hey, I want to register as self-employed. However, unfortunately, sometimes BIR may have access to your record of income. So I'm not saying this to scare the freelancers who are not yet registered, but this always, I've seen this happen for a few times. So BIR has record of their history of income, and they may ask, why are you registering just now? So in that case, it depends on how much your income, all of your income has been. BIR may charge you some penalties, and usually they can be negotiable, but sometimes they're not. So that's a risk that you might want to think about before you register if you've been unregistered for a long time. Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
So far, so good. Yeah. We're just
Okay.
listening about the fees and of course some penalties, especially with the things here. But so far, so good.
Thank you, Ms. Charmaine. So yeah, once again, just a quick recap for the forms. Don't worry about the forms because you can always ask for some information from the officers. Now, the documents or the requirements, as I've said earlier, it's always my advice to call your local BIR first. Their phone numbers are available at the BIR website. You can easily call or email them. And of course, the fees, registration fee, this is a very recurring fee. It's every year. As long as you're registered, you have to pay that. Now, let's talk about COR. I've mentioned books of accounts earlier and official receipts. Let's talk more about them. So this is the most important thing, COR, or what we call Certificate of Registration. It's also called the BIR Form 2303. Now, before COR was like a yellow paper, but now it's blue and it's 2 pages. Now, I just got this online. So I didn't really break any confidence. I don't know the person here, but I just took this as an example. So this is how it looks like. It will have of course, your TIN, your name, your address, what kind of business do you have, and a lot of information actually that will be very helpful for you. I will be sharing that later. So again, the new form is blue and it's 2 pages. Before it was a single yellow page. That's our COR. Usually for businesses that have like physical locations, BIR requires them to display this COR document like in a very visible place or very visible area. But of course, for us, we don't have physical location, so we can just keep them safe. Second, so more about BIR-COR, as I've written here, this is the document that proves that you've been given the legal rights. So you're a legal business, legal ka, pwede kang mag-transaction sa Pilipinas. Now, what kind of transactions can you make? What kind of operations? Well, that depends on your COR. Usually it would say here, for example, this one, business management services. So you can only perform business management services. You cannot sell smartphones. You cannot do other kinds of services. So you're limited to your line of business. What will happen if you don't register your business? Well, the criminal penalty for failure to register or operating an unregistered business, there's a penalty of usually 5,000 to 20,000. The imprisonment of not less than 6 months. Alam naman natin walang masyadong ngipin yung BIR, yung tax laws natin dito. Wala pang napapatunayan. So, usually penalty lang. I haven't heard of anyone who got imprisoned. So that's what will happen. Although it doesn't really happen all the time, pero there's a risk. Next one, books of accounts. So this is how it looks like. Actually, it's just a brown, it's a large brown notebook. Usually it says journal like this one, or ledger, or cash receipts, or cash disbursement, or sales journal, or purchase journal. It depends on what BIR would require from you. As I've mentioned earlier, you need to ask. Usually they would tell you proactively, you need 2 books, or you need 4 books, or you need 1 book. But sometimes, I'm sorry to say, sometimes maybe they forget, or I don't know if they intentionally forget, because not getting your books when you register, you're going to have a huge problem later on because the penalty is really big for not having registered books. So it's very important, if they don't proactively ask you to get books, you ask them, how many books do I need? What kind of books do I need? So if they tell you you need a journal and a ledger, you just go to the National Bookstore or any bookstore. You can easily find them. So books of accounts, as I've said here, some BIR district offices or RDOs, they allow freelancers like us to have only 2 sets of books. Why? Because we don't really have a lot of transactions. We're not like trade businesses that would have to purchase their materials or purchase their goods. We don't have a lot of transactions. We just have cash in and cash out, expenses and salary. So usually they just require 2. It's either cash receipts and cash disbursements, or journal and ledger. Sometimes, if you're really lucky like me, your RDO would just require 1 book. It's actually blue. It's a blue book, and it's called Simplified Set of Bookkeeping Records. So it's used for really small businesses. In my case, that's what I have. So Again, I'm lucky that my RTO is very simple. Now, what do we do with the books? Everything that happens to us, as you know, as income earner, we actually have the right. In the books, it's bookkeeping. If you receive some fees or income, you're gonna have to record it. If you pay or buy something that's related to your work, you're gonna record it as expenses. If you pay taxes, you can also write that in the books. If you pay your accountant, that's accounting expense. Um, so what kind of expenses can you record? Anything that has to do with your job. As an ESL teacher, I can record buying a headset or mouse or generator, or I can record buying a new let's say a new blouse or some makeup. Electricity, that's very common. Internet, anything that you're using to perform or to operate. So as a VA, it's the same thing usually. Before BIR was very strict, they want to make sure that all the expenses that you record have official receipts and they should be under your name. But now they haven't been very strict because of the train law, the new law that was implemented by the last administration. So we are not paying taxes as long as our income is not exceeding 250,000. Maybe if you can remember before, there are like different categories like head of the family, a head of the family with one beneficiary, with two beneficiaries. Now we don't have those anymore because automatically, as long as your income is not exceeding 250,000, you're tax exempt. So no need to have additional proofs for expenses. Penalty for non-compliance in securing BOA. BOA is Book of Accounts. It ranges from 5,000 to 50,000, sometimes even more, especially if it's a huge business like a corporation. They can pay more. But again, if they don't tell you to get books, so you have to remember how many books do I need, what kind of books do I need, and you're good to go. Next one, official receipts. So we're very familiar with how an official receipt looks like. Actually, I kinilig ako the first time that I had my receipt because it would have my name on it, my address, my PIN. It feels good actually to have your OR. Parang feel mo na, may saldo ako, magre-resibo ako, parang ganun. So, this is how it looks like. It depends on the printing house, but ganyan yung usual niyang itsura. And then, as I've written here, all persons subject to an internal revenue tax, dapat daw magre-resibo tayo. Before, ang minimum na required is 25 pesos. So imagine if nagtitinda ka ng sari-sari store, nagtitinda ka may sari-sari store ka. So every 25 pesos na benta mo, kailangan mo raw mag-OR. Pero ngayon binago na. Yeah, so that's very, ubos yung OR mo at the same time nakakapagod. And sometimes it happens kapag yung mga bumibili, let's say mga teachers, and they need a record of their purchase. So kahit maliit lang yan, i-reimburse nila. Ngayon, ang minimum na is 100 pesos. For example, bumili ako kay Miss Charmaine pero 70 pesos lang. Tapos sabi ko pwedeng pa OR. You can refuse na pwedeng sabihin it's below 100. That's allowed. Pero if hindi naman kalabisan, pwede mo rin naman ipag-OR. Pero if for example, konti na lang OR mo, ayaw mo ba magpa-print, okay lang na to. As long as it's below 100. So that's the minimum now. Penalties, ito, galing to sa website, for failure to issue receipts or sales or commercial invoices, first offense pa lang, 10,000 na. Second offense is 20,000. Ito for refusal to issue receipt. So, for failure, maybe nakalimutan mo lang. Pero yung refusal, yung ayaw mo talaga. For example, bumili ako ng 150 pesos. Tapos ayaw mo akong resibuhan. May 25,000 kang penalty. Tapos yung bumalik ako, ayaw pa rin ako resibuhan. Bumili ulit ako ng 200 pesos. 50,000 yung penalty. Pero, ayan. Usually kasi may mga businesses na tumatanggi, pero madalang lang. Pero that's the penalty. So, let's see. I put in some simplified steps here. When you are if you would like to update your records as self-employed, well, it depends. Kung wala ka pang TIN, you apply for TIN, Form 1901. Update personal information lang pag may TIN ka na. Kung previously employed ka and you're just updating to being self-employed, fill out lang ng 1905. Magbabayad tayo ng registration fee for the COR, which is through the Form 0605. How do we pay? Pwedeng through GCash, pwedeng dun mismo sa RDO, pwedeng through bank. Pwede rin sa online nila, meron silang app, BIR app. So, after natin magbayad ng 500, make sure na magpapatatak tayo ng libro or books of accounts. And then, usually, pag kumpleto na yan, hihingin na nila lahat ng requirements mo. I-check muna nila yung requirements mo kung kumpleto. Tapos, hihingin nila later on. Now, a lot of RTOs, dati, they require like face-to-face seminar. May schedule yan, like for example, every Wednesday or every Friday. It's very helpful, actually. It's good to know what you need to know when it comes to taxes kasi sobrang dami ng penalty. Pero I think now they just do online. They give like webinars. You just have to know anong schedule ng RDO ninyo and you can get the link from them. It's very helpful for us. Usually yung COR binabalikan pa yan after a week maybe or earlier. Matagal na kukuha is yung OR kasi pinapaprint pa siya tapos minsan ang system kasi ng BIR up and down. Kapag medyo down yung system nila, ayan medyo matagal, can take months. Pero pag okay naman, usually 2 to 4 weeks. Good na siya. So, hindi naman siya ganun ka-scary. A lot of people are scared to do the steps when registering, but it's not really that complicated. Ang pinaka-advice ko lang talaga, call your local BIR office first. That would save you a lot of time and hassle. Kesa pagpunta mo doon, tatanungin mo anong requirements, and then babalik ka, and then kulang pa pala, and then balik-balik. So, yep. So far, any questions po?
So far, so good naman, Miss Chris, no? Like, at least these are the simplified steps kasi the dami ng explanation ka na, but it was really detailed. So these are now the things that we need to prepare. And good thing that they're also doing it online. Tama? Like, we can also do registration online for now.
Yeah.
Or we need to go to the
Not
RDO talaga.
Yeah, you can have a representative. You can appoint someone to. If you're really busy and if you don't have time, you can appoint someone. Just like make sure that they're authorized. Because you're gonna give them your personal information. So, but unfortunately for BIR registration, it has to be done face to face. In person. But yeah, it's quite simple if you look at the steps like here, it's not that complicated. So how can I say, upuan mo lang siya, alamin mo kung ano talaga yung kailangan mong gawin before ka pumunta doon.
I see. Sige.
Moving
Go ahead,
forward, yeah, so I'm not sure if some of you may have questions like why should I register? Anong mapapala ko? Gastos lang yan. Marami namang nag-ooperate ng business na hindi naman nagre-register. So, bakit pa ako magre-register? There could be a lot of pros, but these are based on my experience. I'm just going to be sharing 3. So, number 1, of course, is your sense of legitimacy. For us, for online professionals like us, I'm not really sure how much longer we can provide online professional services without registering as self-employed. But I think soon enough, the government is going to ask us to register kasi this is like one source of revenue for them dahil malaki yung industry ng VA or ng online professionals. So I think they will require sooner or later. So it's a sense of legitimacy. Alam mong legit ka, alam mo nagbabayad ka ng taxes. It gives you maybe some satisfaction din na kahit papaano may ambag ka sa bayan. Char. So, also, if you're going to have like, sorry.
None.
Oh,
Just
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead,
Yeah.
Miss Chris.
Sorry, yeah. So it's gonna give your clients peace of mind that they're transacting with someone who's trustworthy enough and you're actually recognized by the BIR. I do know a few agencies, VA agencies, they're already requiring their VAs to have COR or certificate of registration. They cannot continue working for them if they don't have COR. So maybe soon enough, especially if you're working for agencies, this is going to be essential. Official receipts, as I've said earlier, being able to issue your OR, it has your name on it. It's going to give you a lot of opportunities. It says here you can take on bigger clients if they have like bigger budgets or like requirements. It feels good to be able to issue your official receipt. Proof of income. This is also very common. A lot of my clients are asking, my bank requires my ITR for 2022 for my loan. So they have that easily available because they are registered. So please remember that if you're not registered, you cannot file your income tax return. ITR is it's a financial form that shows how much you've earned for the year. If you pay taxes, it will also be shown there. So this is a very common, how can I say, financial document that institutions are asking. Car loans, housing loans, any kind of loan, personal loans. So they are looking for ITR. So next one, of course, if there are cons, if there are pros, there will be cons. Fees. Well, we all hate paying extra. We don't want to pay fees. But I think the most important fee that we just have to remember is the 500 registration fee. Another cons is that you always have to remember the deadlines. So I always say that PIR is just a matter of compliance. As long as you can comply to the deadlines, as long as you can submit the correct forms, you will never have any penalties. So sometimes some of my friends, they are, how can I say, nagtitipid. Huwag na lang ako mag-hire. Pipilitin ko na lang alamin online. Manonood na lang ako ng YouTube. But sometimes they file, but they file the wrong form. So it's as good as not filing. You will still have penalties, especially pag strict yung RDO. So you have to remember the deadlines. And of course, kung may deadline, may tax return, may clue ako dito to know what you need to file every month or quarter or year. Usually quarter and year lang tayo. You can take a look at your COR, yung blue form, yung 2 pages. All the deadlines and filings usually nandun sa COR. So if you just follow everything there, wala ka namang magiging penalties or wala kang mamimiss. So, do you have any questions so far?
So far? Yes. Yung curious lang ako, Miss Chris. Kasi, di ba, this is for like self-employed. So, what's the difference, if there's any, between a freelancer and a sole proprietorship, for example? Kasi nakita ko yung receipt kanina. So, if you have like your own business, so what would be the difference between the two? Or mas rigid ba yung sole proprietorship when it comes to like book of accounts or something than the freelancer? Yeah.
Thank you. That's a really good question, Charmaine. When it comes to the books of accounts, definitely there will be a lot of differences. A sole proprietor may have more, how can I say, more transactions depending on the type of business. So if I'm a sole proprietor and I own, let's say I own a bookstore, it's a sole proprietor, but it's a bookstore. So I would have additional expenses. I may have to hire some people, some staff, and I may need to purchase additional, let's say, furniture or some equipment like computer or stuff like that. So that would mean there would be more transactions, and that's going to be different when it comes to recording them in the books as compared to an online professional. You're basically receiving your income and you're spending some of them. We record some of the expenses that are relevant to your job, but other than that, I mean, that's about it. When it comes to filing of ITR, this would depend again whether the business is earning more than 3 million, because by then they would be required to pay or to add VAT. But then that's a different story and it's really more complicated. So if you're not earning more than 3 million, you're not required to pay VAT or value added tax. So so far hindi pa naman ako nag 3 million. So wala pa naman akong naging VAT. Yeah, but that's the difference mainly between sole proprietorship and
Freelancing.
freelancers, professional. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Chris.
Right. So now, just wanted to go through this. I thought about it when I was making this slide. There are some misconceptions. I know a lot of people who have incurred penalties because of this misconception. Before that, just some useful reminders. We have to register yearly. We have to file our ITRs or tax returns. It's very important that we know our deadlines. If you exceed 250,000, there will be taxes depending on your tax code. Maybe that's for another day I can discuss filing ITRs. Now, if if you're really in doubt, you can hire a bookkeeper, you can look for an accountant, a tax agent. Maybe you can go to the BIR so they can assist you there, but sometimes they're not the friendliest people. So, but instead of spending a lot of money paying your penalties, you can cut down your expenses and just hire a bookkeeper and get someone to, to do the difficult tasks for you. Now, going back to the misconception, so zero income. Sometimes they would say, Chris, hindi naman ako nag-earn ng income from 2021 to 2022 kasi pandemic. So, hindi ko pina-close yung COR ko pero hindi naman ako nagtrabaho. So, bakit ako magpa-file? That's wrong. When you file your ITR, it's not necessarily because you are reporting your income. You are reporting whether or not you earned something. So if you didn't earn anything, well, just file your ITR. So it's again compliance. Dahil registered ka, required ka na i-report sa PIR, may income ka man or wala. So hindi ibig sabihin wala kang income, hindi ka na mag-file. This is one of the most common reason for the penalties. So for example, yung business nila 2020 or 2015 pa. Pero tinamad sila, hindi nila tinuloy, pero registered sa PIR. So from 2015 up to now, wala silang income, pero malaking penalty nila. Kasi every missed ITR is 1,000.
Oh,
1,000 pesos.
I see.
And then, another misconception, hindi naman na ako engaged dun sa ESL or wala na yung client kong US client ko na bankrupt. So, na-terminate na ako. So, bakit pa ako mag-file? Wala na rin naman akong client. Your COR is your commitment with BIR. It's not with your client or with your ESL school. So, sorry. As long as you have your COR, regardless kung may client ka or wala, regardless kung may income ka or wala, you have to file. Again, non-filing would be subject to penalty. So, kahit na actually, kinuha ko lang itong COR ko para dun sa ESL school ko eh. Wala naman ako sa kanila. So, ba't pa ako magpa-file? Well, yung COR mo, kinuha mo sa BIR. Hindi mo siya kinuha sa ESL. So, kahit wala na si ESL, magpa-file ka pa rin or ipa-close mo. Also,
so Miss Chris, I'm just curious lang. For example, you will, let's say, stop totally being a freelancer. Like, is there a way that we could go to BIR and cancel the COR, something like that?
Definitely. Pwede mo po siya, we can have it closed or canceled. The form that we need for that is 1905. Now,
Mhm.
they will check thoroughly if you missed any ITR, if you have your books of accounts, kung may sulat sila, yung OR, isusurrender din natin yung OR. And if merong kulang doon, magpe-penalize ka. Mape-penalize ka. Kung may kulang kang ITR, kailangan mong i-file and then bayaran mo yung penalty. Kung hindi ka settled doon sa lahat ng yon, hindi nila i-close. So you have to pay the penalty if you have to comply sa lahat ng hihingin nila sa'yo para i-close nila. Otherwise, lalaki lang yung penalty mo. So, if, for example, nag-set up ako ng business, excited ako, niregister ko agad, and then, kinamad ako 1 month lang, pasara ko na kagad yung COR ko. Kasi kapag hindi ko naman na itutuloy, hindi na ako mag-earn, ba't ko papapasara? Matatambakan ka doon. Another common thing, living abroad. So I know a lot of people na nag-abroad na, iniwanan na lang yung business. Sabihin nila, hindi naman na ako dyan nakatira. Well, yung record sa pangalan mo pa rin. So there may come a time, kailangan mo ng record mo sa BIR. It's definitely going to come up. Magsa-surface yan. Or sometimes they would even, kung malaking penalty mo, they might even send you a letter for your open cases. So, pwede siyang mag-escalate. So, bago ka mag-abroad, close mo muna yung COR mo. And no need to register or update for additional business. Let's say, ESL ako, ESL teacher ako. Tapos sabi ko, mag-business ako, magbabayan sa ako ng damit. Pero may COR naman ako for teaching okay na yun. That's actually not okay. You have to update your COR or your BIR records. You can either get another COR or you can update that and pagsamahin mo sila sa isang COR. Pero usually, I recommend getting another COR for that para separate pati books. So, yun yung mga common misconceptions na nagkakos ng ng penalties. Yeah, I think that's the last of it. Yes.
Wow. All right. So I guess that's how they can contact you, Miss Chris, no? That would be your contact details if like some freelancers would like to connect to you or want to ask you or maybe hire you to be their bookkeeper kasi ang dami na ng trabaho. So I guess we have the email address there and the phone number. Okay, and it was flashed on the screen. All right, Miss Pep, how are you there, Miss Pep? So ano yung masasabi mo with all those like
I was actually just really waiting for the last part of the presentation kasi yung question ko is about Miss Chris, yung how many times can someone get a COR? How many times can someone register? Kasi I remember before nag-register ako but not as a freelancer for something else. And I was like, I don't know any of this stuff. Kumbaga, nagbebenta ako ng load before. Basta load. Tapos, kumuha ako ng certificate of registration as like a business owner, like self-employed. I don't remember kasi sobrang tagal na. Parang single pa ata ako noon. Or hindi naman, married na. But not as a freelancer. Like how we all are now, merong ESL teacher, merong VA, I didn't really get yung ganyan, yung parang COR, correct? How many times can someone get that? Nare-recall pa ba ni BIR yan? Yung pinaka noon mo pa na record?
Yes. Kahit gano'n na po siya katagal, it will be there. I would highly recommend that you check with BIR kung ano na nangyari dun sa niregister mo before. Let's hope na walang penalties na
nagpasok. Oh my God. Natakot ako bigla.
I'm not sure if it's COR. They should have given you like a yellow form, like form 2303 for that. But let's hope na hindi po siya COR talaga.
No, something also happened actually, Miss Chris. Kasi after that, when my daughter joined college, she was eyeing on that scholarship. So for just eyeing on getting a certificate of unemployment to prove na I need the scholarship for my daughter. I need the scholarship. And for me to get that scholarship, I have to show na, unemployed ako for this long eh. Unemployed ako, so qualified yung anak ko dito. So, paano pag ganon? Ano yun, natabunan na ba yun, yung record ko?
It's really hard to tell. Meron po tayong tinatawag na case monitoring system or CMS. Pwede kang magpa-CMS sa BIR nyo para makita mo talaga doon kung ano ba yung nasa record mo. Just to make sure na walang ganong nangyari before. And going back to your question po, like how many times can you register? It depends po kung iba-iba yung business mo. For example, you have 5 different businesses na sobrang iba-iba sila. Yung isa, nagtuturo ka. The other one, nagbebenta ka um, ng computer. Yung isa naman ay talyer. Ganyan. So, sobrang iba-iba yung line of businesses nyo. Pwede kong kumuha separately ng tigi-isang COR dyan. Pwede rin namang pagsamahin sila sa isang COR lang. Magkakasunod lang yung line of businesses. Pero usually, nire-require po ng BIR na isa-isa. Tapos ang mangyayari doon, for example, yung TIN number mo, yung TIN mo is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say, for example, that's your TIN. So if you notice there are 3 zeros in the end, so that would change. For your first business, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 0, 1. For the second business, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 0, 2. And then 003, 004, and so on. Kung ilan man yung branches or businesses mo. So, ganun po yung mangyayari. Pero if it's the same lang, for example, dalawang ESL school mo, no need to update. Kasi same line of business lang po sila. Ganun.
Dami.
Pero ang inaano ko lang, yung parang like, kailan ba nagda-down file si BIR? Let's say like in my case nga, meron akong ganun. Kumuha ko dati ng parang certificate na self-employed ako. But I never really got one for yung nag-ESL tutor din ako for a number of years. Hindi ako nag-initiate kumuha ng ng COR. And then after that, I went back. Yung pala, how are you able to prove na wala ka talagang client ng time na yun? Na you're not really working. Tapos parang like you said earlier, it's your obligation to like update them. Mag-update ka. Kasi Hoda, meron kang kita or hindi ka nag-earn, you have to go back and tell them. What if you're not able to do that? What will happen?
Usually, for example, sa ESL, pag nagpapasweldo sila sa atin, even though self-employed tayo, meron po silang binibigay na form. It's called BIR Form 2307. I think a lot of my how can I say, my clients have that. So 2307, it will reflect your income or no income for the period. So yung 2307 na yun, sinasubmit yun ng ESL school sa BIR. So that means na may proof sila na hindi ako nag-earn.
But not many Korean academies will do that. You know, yung mga online academy, they won't do that, right? To that part.
I think wala akong record kasi nung naging ka ng certification of parang unemployment, they should have seen that na, ay ma'am, may record po kayo dito, may open cases kayo. I think so. They wouldn't have provided you what you need. Usually they would ask you to settle it first.
I'm looking at our yung mga nandito pa yung naiiwan pang nanonood sa atin. I don't see much question, but we'll just acknowledge some of the viewers who were here. Like hello to Charlene from Cavite. Of course, Coach Dennis is here with us. And DJ Pearl Bati is saying hi. Hello din po. And Cheryl Torres and Donalyn Kial, Mary Grace Tan, Zan Josh, and Lorraine. And yeah, hello. Anyway, back to you, Charmaine. Yun lang yung question ko, nabagabag ako doon Kasi sabi ko, I remember getting that before, but only, parang hindi ko naman naranasan yung meron akong official receipt, ganyan-ganyan. Tapos yung mag-update ako kay BIR, magbabayad ako, ganun. But na ang isang ganyan, business establishment or government office. Yung parang, huwag na nating hukayin to kasi it's been Well, how many number of years is
I
that?
think with BIR, they don't do that. They don't purge or erase the records. So it will be there, and we have no choice but to really parang settle with them. Pag masyado naman pong malaki yung penalty, usually pwede naman mag-negotiate, mag-ask ng settlement. Minsan kailangan mo lang siya mempo rin sa mabait na officer.
I see. Wow. Yes, we really had a wonderful talk tonight, no? Like, we are educated on how to
We learned so much.
register and how to, kumbaga, nakakontrata di ba? Like how to take the responsibility, no? With regards to filing our taxes. And we would like to extend our gratitude to Miss Chris. Thank you so much, Miss Chris, for being
Thank you,
with
Miss
us
Chris.
this evening. And we hope to hear from you more next time around, no? The certificate will be given to you via email. Yeah, sabi ni Sir D. So thank you so much, Miss Chris. And Miss Pat, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, just wanting to thank everyone who's here sa ating mga viewers, and thank you so much for being with us. We want to see you next week. Sana manood ulit kayo next week, and don't forget to like our FB page, fopsco.ph. Of course, we know it's a national-based cooperative for Filipino online professionals, and you will also find us there in Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And if you have any takeaway tonight, yung natutunan ninyo, you can share this episode with your friends. Baka gusto na nilang malaman about BIR. Very important. Like me, dami ko natutunan. Share this episode. And for FOPSCO members who wants to work together, you may join our Zoom co-working every Monday to Friday from 9 in the morning till 12 noon. So you just go to fopsco.ph co-working. And of course, we'd like to extend our gratitude to FOPSCO Media, our partner in giving you this awesome, informative FB Live. Thank you so much, FOPSCO Media. And join us again next week for another Facebook Live with another special guest for our FOPSCO family. Let's keep growing.
Together. Thank you so much, everyone, to our viewers. Thank you, CJ, our technical support, and also once again, Miss Chris. And have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye. I hope that here we will all grow together.
We grow